Hey guys, Movie Fan 2002 here, and I'm back with another movie review. I know this one's a little bit late, but I promised I would be reviewing this one. So, let's rewind back to 1996. 1996. Sure, I wasn't born that year, but there were some pretty good movies released that year. In the animation field, that depends. But there were two major exceptions to them. Of course, Disney released their next animated film that went on to become one, now that many people consider, including myself, consider to be one of their best movies, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. But what we're about to talk about today, but of course, another one was a movie that brought a certain classic cartoons and basketball back to the spotlight. Yes, I am of course talking about Space Jam. This was the movie that brought the Looney Tunes and Michael Jordan back to the spotlight, and would even bring Jordan back for many years. Now for the story of the first film. Yeah, what's up, Doc? Oh, hi, Bugs. What are you doing here?
I thought I might as well recap the story of the first film.
Sure. Be my guest.
You see, these aliens come from outer space and they want to make us slaves in their theme park. What do we care? They're little, so we challenge them to a basketball game. But then they show up and they ain't so little. They're huge! We need to beat these guys, because they're talking about slavery. They're gonna make us do stand-up comedy. The same jokes every night for all eternity. We're gonna be locked up like wild animals and then trotted out to perform for a bunch of lowbrow, bug-eyed, fat-headed, humor-challenged aliens.
Thanks, Bugs. You know what? Why don't you stick around for the review? I think I would like to have a Looney Tune join me for this review.
Why, thank you, Doc. I would be much honored to review the film with you.
Anyway, thanks. Anyways, back up to my thoughts on. As for my thoughts on the first Space Jam, I think it's a really great film. Yes, it does have problems, like the story is kind of weak, and the CGI effects does not age well, and there are some jokes that do fall flat, but it does make up for it with Michael Jordan's great performance, the Looney Tunes being funny as always, great hand-drawn animation, great humor from the Looney Tunes, a fantastic soundtrack, and an amazing basketball game third act. In fact, it was so good it actually became the highest-grossing basketball film, regardless of what many people thought of the movie.
It was so good, in fact, is that the Warner Brothers wanted to make another Space Jam. But one problem occurred.
Michael Jordan couldn't come back.
I mean, what happened?
And that just made things completely complicated for the Warners. Following afterwards, they were just scrambling for ways to capitalize on Space Jam without the need of Jordan. They thought about spin-offs that would have the Looney Tunes find themselves racing, spying, skateboarding, or even golfing. However, the best they came up was the 2003 movie Looney Tunes Back in Action, which was directed by beloved filmmaker and Space Jam hater Joe Dante. But since that was a bomb that blew bigger than a Tex Avery gag, all hope was pretty much lost for that Space Jam.
But then, in 2014, a new star player came to the spotlight. With LeBron James in the spotlight, that means Warner Bros. Can finally make the Space Jam sequel they wanted. So now that Space Jam: A New Legacy has finally arrived, will the movie be as awesome as the first basketball game? Or were the critics actually right about the film? Let's find out, Doc. The story. Now, right at the start, it doesn't make that good first impression, especially when it tries to copy the first film. I mean, think about it. It begins with LeBron as a kid. We see our old friends. He has much family. Especially with the first film. It doesn't help. But then it's a subplot where LeBron is a bit of a father. Towards his son who wants to be interested in video games. instead of basketball. However, right when LeBron enters the Looney Tunes world, that's when he picks up and becomes a Space Jam sequel we've been anticipating for years. Even if we know what's going to happen and what the outcome will be, it's the execution of the story that really captures us audience, giving us a really fun and intense time. Also, the subplot involving me is kind of similar to the 2011 Muppets film, with bringing all the Looney Tunes back for the big basketball game, which makes it both hilarious and actually a little bit felt at the same time.
A dream team. Them, shoot the ball. Let's try that again, shall we?
Also, the movie creates a really heartfelt subplot between Dom and LeBron. Sure, yes, it is a little weak at the start, but once it gets going, it becomes a lot more heartfelt, and it does give LeBron much more of a better arc than Michael Jordan in the first film. Yeah, Michael Jordan in the first film. It might start off weak at the start, but when it gets going, it becomes the Looney Tunes movie we've been waiting for 25 years. The animation. Now I know this isn't the first time that this is a non-Disney animated film that used traditional animation, as there have been some before it that does. Films like the 2017 My Little Pony movie and Teen Titans Go to the movies were able to bring hand-drawn animation back to the mainstream. But this one decided to take a more sponge-like water approach, where it mixes both live action and hand-drawn animation along with some CGI in the mix. With the hand-drawn element, while a little bit of a minor downgrade compared to its predecessor, it is still fantastic to look at with bringing all the Looney Tunes together, also making the experience all the more worth it. Plus, the fact seeing hand-drawn animation on the big screen is more than worth it. Another thing I like is the thing with making LeBron James animated. I don't know about you, but I kind of find it odd that Jordan was still live action when he was in the Looney Tunes world during that film. But in here, that problem is fixed, where LeBron is animated up into the big basketball game, so while the Looney Tunes are hand-drawn, then he is hand-drawn animation as well, which makes total sense. And then you have the 3D effects, which I'm sure you're all wondering, how do the Looney Tunes look in 3D? Well, they actually look fantastic, supplying a great amount of detail onto them. Plus, the Goon Squad looks amazing as well, supplying us a great attention to detail for both teams. Plus, the effects that CGI is used in the film also works as well, especially during the ball.
Introducing the Goon Squad!
But the true highlight of the animation is in the third act, when the basketball game commences and they show off tons of cool abilities, making for an awesome and yet pretty intense basketball game, being one of the biggest and probably the biggest basketball game in years. And if that's not enough, the movie has tons of cameos from the Warner Bros. Franchises like The Iron Giant, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, etc. But none was as surprising then.
We're done running tests on your Badger thing. It turns out his condition is irreversible. I'll never erase what I saw from my brain. He's your problem now, dum-dum.
You didn't see that coming?
With spectacular animation like this, the movie makes it all the world worth it to experience. The characters. Okay, let's start off with the characters I don't like, starting off with LeBron James' family outside of him and Dom. You see, they're not as interesting or memorable as compared to them because they don't even appear in the film that much, and when they do, they just don't really leave that much of a good impression on them. I mean, sure, they are supportive to Dom and LeBron, but that's pretty much it. There's also this one world executive in the film who has this one hilarious line with a security guard, but other than that, I just don't remember it. Now with those out of the way, let's talk about the characters who gave this movie to life. Starting off with the star player himself, LeBron James. Throughout his life, LeBron saw basketball mainly as work after he lost the game one time at school during his childhood. But after moving to Brussels, he would learn how to have fun again because of the sun and the Looney Tunes would actually make his shoes red, with giving you a really helpful message that you should let yourself be who you are. Speaking of which, his son Dom is actually technically a building kid, because he doesn't really actually, he doesn't want him to play basketball and more to video games. He tries to resent his father's pressure and joining up teaming up with Algae River. More on that a little bit later. And then there's my gang, the Looney Tunes. Now, for most of their lives, the Looney Tunes have been living in separate lives, traveling across the serververse ever since Algae Rhythm wanted them to explore it, with being Bugs the only one who ever lived it. This makes their part of the story a lot more fascinating as LeBron because it gives them a sort of arc. Maybe more with just Bugs, but it does create a really fascinating arc to go with each of the characters throughout the film. Also, I would like to clarify that almost all of the veteran voice actors of the Looney Tunes returned for part of the roles. I said almost all of them because the only one who didn't was for Zendaya as Lola, who did a pretty solid job as the character, I gotta admit. And then there's the villain of the culture, Algae Rhythm, the king of the serververse who wants LeBron to boot him so he can help him gain more attention. While he's a bit more of a typical bad guy who just wants LeBron to win, in practice, he's actually a really entertaining villain, bringing a lot of fun for his role, giving a really great performance by John Cheadle. Sure, it might be a little bit odd to know that Rhodey from the MCU is now playing a villain in a Looney Tunes movie, but you'll get used to it when you actually watch the film.
King, you're about to lose your family,
got the world in my hand,
everything you love.
Well, at least we're good.
Oh, and I almost forgot. All of the tunes will be deleted, so...
As for all the cameos from other Looney Tunes franchises and Warner Bros. Franchises, well, they're mainly there just to support the big basketball game and also are there before it, but they are pretty funny for us to watch. Plus, at least the thing about if you want to watch on HBO Max, at least you can just pause the film whenever if you want to rewind to a certain moment just to see a certain cameo. There may be a few weak ones, but the characters are still strong to carry this feature together. You know, before I saw this film, I was kind of concerned when I saw the critic reception. I was concerned meaning that I would hate this film as well. Thankfully, that did not happen. This film wants to bring back to my childhood in the best way possible. Space Jam 2 might be as good, if not better than the first film around it. Sure, it might start off a little weak, and there are a few characters that are a bit off, but everything else like a fantastic second and third act, a fantastic mix of 2D and 3D animation, with performances, solid humor, and the cast of nerve and characters with live action and animated made this film tons of fun to watch. For my recommendation, that depends on who you may ask. If you guys want to see a follow-up to Space Jam, then go ahead. If you don't want to see a follow-up to Space Jam because you thought the first film wasn't that good, well then obviously you should have more than just stick with the Looney Tunes in the past. But if you still want to see it, even if you didn't like the first film, then I hope you enjoy it. As for me, I had a fantastic time with it, and if I ever choose to watch it again, then I will be happy to do so. Anyways, now that we're done with the new legacy, it's time to move on to the new generation.
Well, that's all, folks. That's my line. Step aside, babe. Let a star do this. That's all! That's all, folks!
Can I go home now?